rapidly growing industry of CBD products. What we have found throughout the industry were products that were inconsistent in dosage and used ingredients that weren't even lab tested. Products with chalky textures, bitter aftertaste, and worst of all, confusion among the CBD consumers. That's why we created Delight Cafe. A 15 milligram, lab-tested, all-natural, water-soluble hemp CBD powder pack. It's odorless, colorless, and tasteless. Add it to your favorite drink of choice, wherever, whenever, on the go. Quickly find your calm, your balance, your delight when you need it most.
Well, hey, everybody. It's Dave Brown, Victor Tango Show. Back here today, another week of some great things to talk about. Today, I'm so excited to have the show today and introduce you to my guest. Such an awesome human being and such a great guy. But first, I got to throw out my little advertisement for Delight CBD. Please try this. If you have issues with anxiety or depression or anything that keeps you from feeling calm, please give this a try. This stuff really does work. I've been using it and just stir into my water or into my coffee, and it's awesome. It's awesome. It is definitely something that can help with your mood, can help with your stress levels. And so just a great thing to bring balance to your life. So please check out Delight and Google it. And well, I'm going to move on to introducing this gentleman to you, and we're going to talk about the organization that he represents. It's called Every Third Saturday. This organization, I'm going to tell you their story and how it began. Every Third Saturday began in 2010 after a single comment as we were finishing up a pickup of quilts from a small church in Wisconsin. As we were preparing to head back to the Twin Cities, the subject of homeless veterans came up, seemingly in passing conversation. A woman at the church, Deb Merrier, asked if I had said homeless veterans. As her eyes became glassy, I replied yes, and explained that for the past 5 years, we had been purchasing supplies on a small scale and driving around the Twin Cities to give the supplies to homeless veterans. Deb then described that she had been discussing homeless vets with her husband, Scott, and the rest of their family for a month now. They wanted to help address the problem, but just didn't know how to begin. The Merriers wanted to take concrete steps to help out veterans who are living in cars, under bridges, in the woods, and anywhere else they can stay safe, warm, and dry. Although none of us realized it at the time, Every Third Saturday had been born. Over the past 6 years, the Merriers nonprofit, the Hands Foundation, has been the driving force behind an effort that has had a major impact on the lives of homeless veterans trying to survive in the harsh Minnesota weather. The collection and distribution of over 45,000 items has helped hundreds of veterans with everything from blankets being used in VA hospitals to homemade bags that makes carrying your whole life on your back just a little easier. The donations collected by the Hands Foundation and delivered to the Twin Cities have made it all possible. Every Third Saturday simply would not exist without the Hands Foundation. Cooperation with the Department of Veterans Affairs has sprung out of the consistent availability of supplies and volunteers. We are now able to get VA assistance in communicating with veterans on a very much larger scale. And we are now welcome to serve veterans on VA property, which we do on the third Saturday of each month. The effort of the Hands Foundation and the Merrier family has made an immeasurable difference in our ability to serve homeless vets in the Twin Cities. Even better, we have become true friends, which make us even more effective in our service to others. Every third Saturday will always be indebted to the Merrier family for their generosity and the energy they bring to everything they do. We look forward to many more years of service with them as Every Third Saturday becomes an organization of its own and expands to begin offering assistance to veterans who have struggled since leaving service and their families in areas such as employment, finances, relationship, health, and faith. Faith is a keystone to everything done at Every Third Saturday and will always be our bedrock. Modern medicine can treat the physical injuries a vet sustains in service. Psychiatry can assist with the emotional difficulties such as PTSD, depression, and anxiety. But we believe that the wounds to the soul many veterans struggle with cannot be healed without divine intervention and a belief that we are all here for a purpose. Every third Saturday, we'll walk alongside veterans and their families as purpose is discovered, a passion for service is found within that purpose, and a post-service growth can begin. We believe there is no better medicine than being in community with others and other veterans and their families, rediscovering purpose and serving cause, which is greater than ourselves. Folks, let me introduce you to my friend, Tom McKenna. Hey, Tom, how are we doing today? Tom, are you there? There, he's coming in.
Hey, Dave, how you doing?
I'm doing great. How are we doing today?
Doing excellent. It's just another day at ETS.
Another day at ETS, helping some of our brothers and sisters every day, right?
Yep, we're trying.
Tom, why don't you tell these folks that are watching this show and who will be watching it later recorded, tell them a little bit about your background, a little bit about yourself, and then we'll get into the organization.
Sure. I grew up in New York City, and so I'm very cognizant of the homeless person issue. It wasn't until much later that I put homeless and veteran together and realized that was a thing. But was a pretty good ball player, played baseball up until the college level, and then decided I wanted to go in the Marine Corps. It was kind of the family business. My grandfather, my father, my uncles, all were Marines. My brother after me was in the Marine Corps, so it was an easy decision to go and serve, and it was a great experience. Some very bad days, but overall, I love the Marine Corps, and wanted to make a career of it. But when I got hurt, couldn't continue, and so life had other plans.
It always does. It always does. Brian Tracy, one of the guys that helped put this show together, a buddy of mine that I served with Alpha 14 in Camp Pendleton, just said that. Semperfi to you, Tom. So I just wanted to pass that along to you.
So, Brian.
So let's talk a little bit about the organization. Let's talk about the offerings that you have currently for a veteran and their family to help them and the areas that you can help them.
Sure. So it's kind of a three-pronged attack. We talk about we support, empower, and connect veterans. And so we support them. We have a free store, which is about 1,100 square feet of it's basically set up like a thrift store, and veterans can come in one time per month and shop for anything they may need. Everything from suits and dress clothes for interviews, winter clothes, sleeping bags, all kinds of items, personal hygiene stuff. And so that's a pretty big part of what we do. Additionally, the connection part, we have a resource network called Pop Smoke. Pop Smoke is a network of partners. So when a veteran needs to reach out, or a spouse maybe on their behalf, which is fairly common, the veteran's not doing their part in reaching out and saying, hey, I need help. I need an evacuation, so to speak.
Yeah.
They can go on our website. They can fill out a simple profile and just check boxes on what resources they need, and those resource providers will contact them within 48 hours.
That's awesome.
And then finally, we have a 6-week course called the Warrior's Path, and the Warrior's Path is designed to really work on the concept of post-traumatic growth. We all know PTSD and what that's about, but what we're seeking to accomplish in the Warrior's Path is to use our trauma to make us stronger and to grow from that, rather than let us drag us down and keep us in the past. And so that's the 3 parts of ETS currently. And then Additionally, we're just started construction on our new home, which will be just a few blocks from the VA Medical Center in Minneapolis.
Well, let's go into a little bit about pop smoke. I want to explain it to family members who may not understand that term, and the evacuation part of it. If you're deployed overseas and you find yourself in a situation where you need to be pulled out of the field, we pop smoke. We use a grenade or some type of incendiary device to let the helicopter know where we are so that they can come down and pick us up and pull us out for an evacuation. So in that concept is what Tom's talking about. When somebody reaches out and says, hey, I need help, they're popping smoke, and that gives them the opportunity to say, hey, I need some help, or my spouse needs help, or my son or daughter, or whatever it may be. It gives them a line to every third Saturday so that they can get the resources they need to help them through their current struggle or their current crisis. So now I want to ask you a couple questions about that place. Why don't you tell us a little bit about the purchasing the first building and what happened with that, and then talk a little bit about the plans for the new building.
Yeah, it's a pretty good story, and I laugh now, but I wasn't laughing then. But
no.
So we're in rental space in a little strip mall right near the VA. The building's about 100 years old, and it went up for sale, and we tried to buy it, but we kept getting outbid, and so we hit our ceiling on our number, and we couldn't go any higher, so we backed out. But there's a building just across the side street, not 30 yards away, that had been for sale for years. It was an old service station, and they were using it as a parts garage for mainly Chevy Impalas. Anyway, we did purchase that property, and there was a 2,400 square foot building on it. And we thought, well, we can renovate that. It won't be too hard. But not knowing what I didn't know, it was a nightmare. It was the building, the city codes. They had been grandfathered literally since 1957. And so anything done in the building was, but once we purchased it and went to change its use, all those grandfather codes went away. So we had to rip out everything down to the studs. And even that was not a good situation. We ended up putting an in-floor heating system in there, pouring a new concrete floor. We redid the roof, and we started to stud out the building to create what we thought would be the Veterans Community Center. And then we brought in a structural engineer because we saw some cracks in the support beams, and we just wanted to make sure that before we went forward that it was, okay and safe. And he took one look at it and said, I don't need to go any further, and either do you. This is not a viable structure going forward. And we were crushed. We were just crushed. It took all the money we had as an organization and time and people, drumming up donations. And now we had to look at what are we going to do now? We own this property. It's useless. We wasted a lot of money. And so,
well, it's not wasting it because you didn't know, so you weren't really wasting the money. I mean, if you had any inkling that it wasn't going to work out, it would have been different if you would have pushed forward anyways, but you didn't know any better. And that's one thing when it comes to codes and stuff, it's hard to know everything when it comes to buildings, right?
No kidding.
But yeah, but you had a couple of events there with people coming and helping with providing structure and the garden and all of that other area that was going up around it. And then you That's just right. had to stop and had to rip it all back down, didn't you?
Eventually, yes.
Yep.
So it came to a screeching halt. Yeah, we did have a great, beautiful garden space put in with the partnership with the Republic Services and an organization called Rebuilding Together. And it was great. We were ready to go. until we got that news that the building wasn't going to stand up for another 50 years. And if it wasn't going to do that, then, it wasn't a viable structure. So the story turned Veterans Day 2019. The Star Tribune wrote an article on every third Saturday, and it happened to be on a Sunday, and it happened to hit the front page, and it generated a ton of phone calls, emails, contacts. It really hit home. The article was very well written by a reporter named Reed Forgrave, and one of those calls was from an individual who wants to remain anonymous, but he said, "I heard about your building problem. I think I might be able to help. Do you want to talk?" And I said, "Sure."
Yeah.
I'll talk to anyone. And I thought maybe he had a way to shore up the place or some kind of construction or whatever. But no, we went down to their offices, and he said, "What do you want to do on the space?" I said, "Well, I just want the building to work so we can use it and help veterans." And he said, No. Forget that space. I want you to dream big. Dream as big as you want, and we'll reel you in if we need to." And it came to, we told them what we wanted to do and how we wanted to do it. And they came up with this plan for what is now being constructed next door. And it's absolutely, we went from a 2,400 square foot, 100-year-old building to a 10,000 square foot brand new facility. And that should open in April. And we're really, obviously excited, but what we can do for veterans in this new space is going to be fantastic.
That's exciting. That's going to be awesome. I got the opportunity to see the old building before the demolish and demolition time. So talk a little bit about the store that you have. And let's talk about, kind of the current needs of what's needed, because we're changing seasons here in Minnesota. Minneapolis is a pretty big area, but it gets cold, man, at nights. We're just starting to drop down in the 40s. Pretty soon we'll be in the 30s at night. So we got a large population of homeless vets here. And so what are things that, talk about more of along the lines of what's needed, even be specific of items that are needed right now, Tom, and just kind of let people know what goes on there and when they can donate for that.
Sure. So the store operates because of COVID. It forced us to change how we do the every third Saturday events that we've historically held and got our name from. Unfortunately, we had to stop doing them because of COVID. And we were packing in anywhere between 50 to 80 veterans into a little small space. It wasn't going to work during a pandemic. So what we did was we switched from that to, you can come in any day we're open, Tuesday to Friday, 9 to 4, and one time per month, and you can shop, for your stuff. And it's been a really cool change. We just finished September, and it's a record month. We had 112 veterans come through in September, and since we switched, it's been about in the 80s now. We're at 112 and going up, and like you said, the weather's changing. So this week we did our changeover from winter stuff to from summer to winter, rather, of course. And so we'll have a lot of vets coming in October, and what that is winter coats, gloves, hats, boots. We're in great need of large size thermals and hoodies, large size being 2X and up. If you're outside a lot in the Minnesota winter, you layer up. And so we need big coats, big hoodies, and big thermals. Thermals especially, because those don't get donated a lot. Mm-hmm. So we really need those. And then gloves and hats. We go through a ton of those. So, but the store is staffed by volunteers, and it's sometimes people ask us how we measure success, and the store is one example. because the veterans who now basically run the store, they yell at me, get out. Like, I'm not even allowed in there sometimes, because they've taken ownership. They run the show. But the cool part is they used to come to us to get supplies. And so they've grown through the process and are now, really running a tight ship and doing this cool thing much better than we ever did. So it's really a cool story.
You got somebody from supply in there or something?
Yeah, it's I don't. You know what? I don't know. He was in the Navy. The vet who runs, he's a volunteer, but he runs a shop, and
maybe he's a storekeeper.
Oh my gosh, the guy, he's got it all organized and sized, and really, it's a great experience for the vets that come in, and it's fun. They have coffee and donuts, and when we were packing in, say, 75 veterans on a third Saturday, it was a little bit impersonal because we had to get through so many veterans in such short time, in 2 or 3 hours. Now, when a veteran comes in, they might be the only one in the store, or maybe there's 2 or 3, but they get this personal experience where we can talk to them and build some trust. And it's so important to be able to really connect on a person-to-person level. So we talk about, it's not really what we deliver, it's how we deliver it. That's so important.
Right. And, I was going to ask that too, with that ability, now that you have people streaming in on a, few people a day versus the 75 to 125 on a one Saturday for a few hours, that gives you that one-on-one time where you can check in, see how they're doing, see what else they need. Because we know, you and I know, and most of the people that are listening to the show or subscribing to the show, people, if you like this show, please like the show on YouTube and subscribe to it too, please. But anyways, we all know that we go our travel with mental health. For me, PTSD, depression, anxiety, there's days where it's great or it's just normal and it's just got like this, but we get into those moments where it can be a crisis moment. And so we could be good for a long, long time. And then all of a sudden we dip because of a flashback, a intrusive thought, nightmares, something happens, right? And it just does that for us. And but it gives you that opportunity to stop them and just say, hey, how you doing? You want to go have a cup of coffee because you have a coffee shop, be able to get to do more with them. Hey, you want to check the computer for a job? Do you want to, get an ID? You work through that stuff with them. And that gives you the ability to do that. And I think that's one thing that COVID, I think, made better for you, is that one-on-one touch for that, I think.
Absolutely. I absolutely agree. I was really nervous. We had done it the same way for a decade. And to make a change that big. Oh, go ahead.
There's a question here that says, what has been your largest challenge your organization has made it through?
Well, the building project was obviously a big challenge. And we made it through that. We're on the other side. But I think managing growth has been one of our biggest challenges. It sounds really good to be growing and growing quickly, but it's been a challenge we didn't have any paid staff for a long, long time. And we had to bring on a program director. We had to start paying our executive director. And so growth really has been our biggest challenge and continues to be.
Who is the executive director?
That is my wife, Jessie McKenna. She was just part-time on the fringes while I was trying to do this. But, like you and so many other vets, I struggle with mental health. I can get worked up pretty easy. And so she transitioned from a full-time job that she's worked for many years into now a full-time executive director. And because not only is she good at it, but I'm not. And so it worked out pretty good.
Yeah. And the organization piece too.
Absolutely. The day-to-day operation as it grew, was really challenging for me. And she has the mind and a knack for it that she's well placed in her role.
I would say she is. She's well placed for sure. Hey, can you tell us a little bit about your coffee shop and the story behind the gentleman? I can't think of his name.
Rick.
Yeah, Rick. Yep.
Yeah.
Tell the people about that a little bit. Tell them about what happens in that coffee shop.
Sure. And so Rick Gustafson was a master sergeant in the Air Force, and a lot of people make fun of the Air Force and that stuff, but Rick was a TCAP, and that's basically a forward air controller, special operations. He was out there painting targets. He was out there identifying targets. He was really doing some difficult stuff, and had 9 combat deployments, just way too many. And so the Air Force identified that Rick had PTSD, moved him into a training role. Still didn't quite work out. So that finally, after 22 years, the Air Force said, it's time to retire. You have to retire. And Rick said, okay. But the next morning, he got up, put on his dress uniform, and he shot himself and killed himself. And so it turns out he was volunteering for deployments so that younger guys didn't have to go. He knew he was never going home. And, the note he left indicated that. He left behind a wife and kids and, a brother and parents. And it was just a trail of destruction. And so we never met Rick. Rick was constantly deployed. Who we did meet was his parents, and his mother, Wanda, sews these beautiful quilts for veterans, and we've given away thousands of them at this point. And his father, Leon, was a submariner in the Navy, and we got, his wife and kids have been here. So anyway, that's Rick's story. And what we wanted to do was not only be able to bring up suicide, because no one wants to talk about it,
right.
But we have to, and it's ever present. And so we wanted to make some good out of it. And so we bring up the conversation. We honor Rick's memory. We honor his service, but we also talk about his end and what that meant for the people he left behind. And so Rick's coffee shop was something we operated for a long time. COVID has put a damper on it, but so we still have the same mentality. But in the new building, it'll be a actual revenue producing full service coffee shop called Rick's Coffee Bar. And we'll be able to employ veterans there and continue to talk about Rick and what his story means, both in his service and in what he left behind.
The sponsor of our show, Delight CBD, this is part of their group of shows on Delight's Digital Cafe. They write, if I was to donate a box of Delight Cafe CBD to your coffee shop, would you and your staff be willing to try it and see why it would be great to bring on for customers?
Absolutely. I'd love to try it.
Absolutely. I will see that box and buy 2 more to donate. So Brian will donate some more.
We're in business.
And they said, thank you, Brian. Have you or Dave get me the address and I'll get 3 more boxes on the way. I'll get that to you, Brando. Brandon is the name of the guy, Brandon Croucher, who is the CEO of Delight. And so he's the one who's behind those questions and stuff. Great opportunity for us to help in that avenue as well. So let's talk a little bit about what are the needs? What kind of financial projects do you have coming up? What kinds of ways can we help and get people engaged in helping? What kind of resources do you need?
So right now, what we need to build and is a recurring source of recurring monthly donations, small donations. And so, the number varies. The VA likes to change it, but we're going with 22. 22 vets a day kill themselves in America. And so we have asked people if they could donate $22 a month in honor of all those veterans and support us that way. We're in a decent financial position. The building's paid for, so that's a big load off. But we need to operate it and maintain it once it's built and open, and so we do need to build a recurring base for that. And so we have a annual golf event each July, and so that's a good one. Other than that, it's just relying on private donations, and we do seek some grants. We don't take any government money, and that's just a choice that the organization made at the outset. So we don't do that as far as government grants, but we do seek grants from foundations and things.
So let's talk about how much money do you need to raise per month to operate your organization moving forward after the building's complete? So do you know what that figure looks like? Yeah,
it's about $10,000 a month.
Okay. And so if I were to come on board, how would I sign up as a donor? And do you have tiers of donations on your website for me to sign up for? How would I do that?
Yeah, you can go to our website. It's secure. There's a donate button right on the homepage as soon as you get on there, and you can choose what amount you'd like to donate and whether it's recurring or not. And so it'd be fantastic to get some people to go on there, and that recurring base of donations helps us to budget and have confidence we can run programs and things.
Yep. So why don't you share with us the website?
So that is everythirdsaturday.org.
Okay.
And you can go there. You can also sign up to volunteer there under the Contact Us button. And you can read about the various programs, Warriors Path, Pop Smoke, and the new building, and dig a little deeper into what we do.
Dig a little deeper. I was wanting to do that with that Warrior Path program. I think that's new since the last time you and I talked. Really intrigued by that. Is that something that you just going to be offering at the facility, or is that like a plan for a retreat at some time to do like a down and dirty kind of weekend, get some of that stuff done? Why don't you explain like what they go through during the Warrior Path program?
Sure.
And who's targeted?
So it's a 6-week program, and it meets Tuesday to Friday, 9 to 4. So it's a full-time endeavor for 6 weeks. And we can touch on some of the financial burden and things and how we relieve that. But the program, so we have 34 subject matter experts on all kinds of topics. The 5 broad areas are faith, family, fitness, both physical and mental, finances, and then what we call force for good. How can you give back to your community? And so kind of the deep dive into it is each day is different. We might have a financial management expert come in and actually not just talk to vets about financial management, but actually actually help them to prepare, say, a budget, something they may have never done. We have experts that is in physical fitness. Say we have a yoga instructor who does a couple days. We have an MMA fighter who comes in a couple days. We have a strength coach that used to be with the San Diego Chargers. And so we really, and I give our program director, John, really all the credit. He's built a fabulous program. And what it does is it creates a sense of community amongst the participants, and it's kind of a tribe. And it also creates an atmosphere where positive thinking and post-traumatic growth are not only possible, but actually required.
Awesome. Let me interrupt real quick. Brandon from Delight's Digital Cafe, missed what state you're in. I asked because my master's is in nonprofits and wonder if we could plan an event next summer together. Help veterans and
spread the light, which I'm all
spread
for.
the light. There you go. Spread the light. It was covered by something on my screen. I couldn't tell what it said. Sorry, Brando.
Yeah, we're in Minnesota, Minneapolis, and we love to partner any way we could.
So go back to your story on the Warrior Path program. Sorry.
Yeah, so our second cohort.
Tom? Tom, are you there? I think his feed died. Tom, are you there? Well, folks, we'll wait till Tom comes back up. Are you there, Tom?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Usually our internet connection is so stable. I don't know what's going on.
Yep. Okay. Sorry. Right when I asked you to dig deeper into it, right when you started talking, it froze. So go ahead and repeat all of that.
Yeah, I can do that. So Warriors Path, we started with this cohort, which is our second cohort. We started with 5. We're finishing with 3. They'll graduate tomorrow. And then our next group will start October 26th. And so, they made it through. It's designed to be challenging, to challenge thought, to challenge emotion, to challenge how you approach life, and not just be another program where you go through the motions and you pick up a tool or two. This is more about what happens in the soul of a veteran. And, we've found that it's been really impactful. So, again, we have subject matter experts coming in, and it's just been crazy how supportive people have been from all kinds of different fields. And so there'll be alumni, and when they're alumni, that means they're part of the family, part of the ETS family. And we look forward to having them go out and spread positive thinking and post-traumatic growth to veterans they encounter. Also, the program is certified by the Minnesota Certification Board as a Veterans Peer Support Specialist program. And so if you complete the 6 weeks, you can take the exam to become a Veterans Peer Support Specialist. And so we have 2 veterans, and they're going to do that. And
oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, so there's a few around the state. We're the only one certified by the Minnesota Certification Board to deal specifically with veterans. And so we're really we're proud of that, and we're looking forward to the fruit that can bear.
No doubt, especially with guys and gals who've walked through some of these challenges and then come out on that end to be able to step in and help their peers. What a great service for them to be able to commit to and be able to help with. Let's talk about the financial challenges of somebody going through that. What does it cost? How does that get taken care of for somebody who wants to do it?
Yeah, so obviously, it's some veterans are in a position they might be 100% through the VA or have other sources of income. But what we wanted to do was make sure that financial challenge was not an obstacle that prevented participation. So what we as an organization have committed to is we have grants of $2,000 for the 6 weeks, and that roughly computes to about $20 an hour. And we wanted to be careful we're not paying vets to go through the program. But if they come to us and say, I can't do it because of financial stress, then we can come up with a $2,000 grant. The other option we have that we offer to employers is if an employer will give a veteran, instead of terminating that veteran, if they can give the veteran a leave of absence for 6 weeks, we will match whatever take-home pay they would have received. And so that way the employer is covered, leave of absence, the veteran is covered, don't lose any income, and we can put the financial part of things aside. We're happy, and we've gotten some commitments of support to back veterans on that $2,000 commitment, and so that takes some of the burden off us. So Lyman Companies, who is a group of 8 companies in the construction materials business, they've committed to three grants for 2022, and we continue to kind of cultivate that and see where it falls.
Okay, so who's the person that would need to be communicated with or contacted to talk about sponsoring or sponsoring some of those grants, like corporations? Some of the people that are going to be listening to this are business owners, stuff like that. They may be interested in giving. Who would you want them to talk to in your organization to be able to get that set up or have a conversation about it? And I think we lost him again. See, this is what happens when you run an organization that is doing so good. There's other forces around you that kind of slow things down, it looks like. Tom, you still there, buddy?
I'm here, dude. Man, I'm sorry. I got all the full bars. I don't know what's going on.
Did you hear me? Did you hear what I was talking about?
No, can you repeat it, please?
Yeah, what I was asking is, what I said is we have people who will be watching or listening to this podcast and at their convenience, because they can't do it at the time that I have available to record it. But they might be interested in contacting your organization and also offering the ability to offer a grant or two for next year for one of these folks to join a cohort to get into the warrior's path and dig deep and take that financial burden away. We know how important it is for them to take that burden away, for them to get better too. Just the training alone they won't have to stress about money if you can do that, and that gives them a stronger opportunity to take in what they're learning. But how would they contact you? Who would they talk to? Could you let us know who that would be?
Yeah, that would be me, and you'd likely be in touch with John, our program director, and I'm at tom@everythirdsaturday.com.
Is that .com or .org?
It is .com, which okay. There's a story there that's not worth telling, but it should be .org, and it didn't turn out that way.
Okay. Well, some things work out and some don't, right?
That's right.
So what is, again, what is your challenge with that program? Is it finding veterans to do it? Is it keeping them involved in it? What are some of the challenges with that program?
So there's 2 challenges. One is finding the veterans. You're looking for veterans who do not want to be found, and that is a challenge. And so we work with the VA, we work with Department of Corrections, we work with Hennepin County Veterans Court, Ramsey County Veterans Court, to get referrals because they're encountering veterans who need some kind of structure to move them from where they are to where they want to be.
Right. Brian's asking a theoretical question. Is it possible to get a grant to build tiny homes in a centralized location to house homeless vets? I have no idea. What do you think? Is there a way to do that?
There is money out there for that. Something that we looked at actually, and we actually had a proposal to build some housing out of shipping containers, but we ultimately decided not to go that direction. But there is grant money out there, both from state and federal resources, and there's some private support for that kind of intervention there with tiny homes. One really interesting concept has actually been built in Forest Lake here in Minnesota, where they built the tiny homes indoors, and so that it made them so they didn't have to be so weather resistant, which is a problem here in January, of course. And,
Yep.
so it's an interesting concept where they built one very large, basically pole barn, and put 100 tiny homes inside it. So there's lots of options and opportunities in that kind of in that realm.
So do they pump in there those solar lights then, so that you can get some natural sunlight during the winter and all that other kind of stuff?
I haven't been there, so that's a great question. I don't know.
Extra vitamin D, so the depression doesn't stick in. Hey, any of you folks out here watching this show, if any of you have any questions about veterans issues or anything that Tom and I are talking about today, you can email the show at victortangoshow@gmail.com. Again, that email address is victortangoshow@gmail.com. We'd be happy to take your questions. If you want to reach out to us, looking for resources, all those kinds of things. My background, Marine Corps veteran, also served on the board of directors for a nonprofit for providing service docs for veterans, and was a veteran service representative, helping veterans get benefits, and also a 100% service-connected disabled veteran. So I have a little bit of knowledge when it comes to that stuff, and have a lot of resources for people too. So sorry to interrupt that piece. I just wanted to throw that out there so everybody has an idea of what they can and can't do with us. You just got to keep it real sometimes, right, Tom?
That's it. That's right. And like you, having experience as a veteran service officer, and just interacting with thousands of veterans over the years, it's important that people know where they can seek help. And sometimes we'll get a veteran who'll say, what's going on? Why is things are going poorly? What's happening? And saying, I can't do anything because I don't have my DD-214, my discharge document. And you say, well, why don't you get it? And he said, well, I lost it. That's it. I can't get another one. And it's simple knowledge. Like, of course, we can go to the archives and get it. But it's a huge obstacle for a veteran to not have that, for instance.
Yep. And
it's an obstacle sometimes they don't know that they can overcome that obstacle fairly easily. And so having knowledge like you have is essential, really, to helping veterans.
Yep. Brian, we'd be more than happy to have you here in Minnesota so we can go check out that facility in Forest Lake. Just let me know when you're going to be near the state when you're on the road. Brian's my buddy that I served with in the Marines. He's a truck driver, over-the-road truck driver, so he's all over the country. Sometime you can stop in. We can go take a look at that place. I'd love to go up there and see what it looks like and maybe get a tour or whatever. That's a great idea. Yeah, Tom, just like we've had conversations about, there's days that we feel that we're great, and then there's days that we feel that we're not so great. And the challenges of having friends and being, I don't want to say popular or prominent, but kind of well known in the circles here in Minnesota with veterans organizations and people that do stuff like you and I do. We still have our ups and downs going through and running stuff like this. You're one of the people that I can reach out to and that I do and talk to you and tell you how I'm doing. And I appreciate that, having you there, because I don't want to be one of the 22. But how do you deal with that when you're going through stuff going on at work? What are the things that you rely on to get you through?
Well, one is faith. It's important that I can always have that bedrock, that foundation to rely on. But about 6 weeks ago, I'll back up. About 8 weeks ago, we had our ETS golf event. Had what was one of my best friends. He was at the event, but something was off. He wasn't looking good. He only played 9 holes and then said he wanted to go home. He didn't feel good. 2 weeks later, I had talked to him that day for about 25 minutes. Everything was going great, and he took his own life that night. And so, like, you have to train yourself to not take that on, not take that personally. What could I have done different? What did something I said or whatever? And so, that's a good example of where you have to talk, you have to seek help, you have to put up your hand. And I did, and said, I'm not feeling good about this. It's triggered me in a way where I'm in a valley that I'm having trouble clawing my way out of. Sometimes they're pretty shallow, that valley, and you ride it out. But those deep ones are the ones that get us. And I fell into probably a 3 or 4 week depression where I just couldn't get it going. I couldn't engage. I didn't want to talk to any veterans. And it was just being willing and able to talk about it, really, to get it off my chest, say, this is killing me. I know it's not my fault, but he's still dead, and we still buried him. We did the whole thing at Fort Snelling, and the thing that keeps me going is the same thing that I saw at that funeral. His wife and his boys no longer have their husband and their dad, and so it's the people I love that keep me moving forward, because I know they need me. I know that they understand sometimes. I'm not going to be the best version of Tom, that day, but overall, it's about having people that you love more than you love yourself, frankly.
Right.
And so that's what gets me through.
Yeah, and that's a great piece to talk about. Is we all got to find that purpose for living, the thing that we love more than ourselves, whether it be a family member, whether it be our kids, or mom or dad, or whatever that may be, or our pet, our service dog, whatever that is. Just something to give you purpose to keep riding the storm, because the storm's going to come. We know that PTSD, there really is no real cure for it, because it can come out of nowhere and something can happen. We all have friends that have ended their own lives because they didn't reach out, and they couldn't find the rainbow, or to get out of it. So we just gotta remember that piece, that we gotta remember the ones that we love every time that we get in that deep dark stuff, and reach out to somebody. And folks, I want to let you know that this guy right here, Tom, is a great person to talk to if you need to reach out to somebody, especially here in the Twin Cities area. Raise your hand, contact their organization. Tom's been through it. He knows what he's doing. He knows what he's talking about. And I'm proud to call him a Marine brother, and also a great friend. And I've known Tom a few years, but definitely enjoy spending time with him. And we need to get together. Before we end the show today, though, I want to know a little bit how my buddy Mack's doing. How's Mack doing?
Mack is here, but he's taking a nap. But he's doing awesome. He's 4 years old now, and he's still built like a tank. And he's my right hand. He's like an appendage, and so he's just awesome.
The best version of Tom is the version he refuses to quit fighting. We need you, buddy.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
So, folks, just so people know what we're talking about, Mack is his dog. He's a pit bull. What kind of bulldog is he?
He's an American bully.
Yep, and he is a muscular, scary-looking beast when you look at him. But man, is he a lover. Isn't he?
Oh, yeah. We just had a 5-year-old in here this afternoon with a veteran. And Mack just licked his face, and that was everyone got a big laugh, and
Yeah,
so it's fun.
He's hilarious. Great evening, gentlemen. CK Ford. CK, thanks for joining the show. Tom, before we leave, tell us about some of the things that veterans can do when they come to your spot. Like the computers or the library of books or any of that kind of stuff. Let's finish off on a good note with some of those things that are offered by every third Saturday.
Sure. So the whole point really of every third Saturday is to build a community. No one's better than anybody else. There's no us and them. It's just us. And so when they come in, whatever that need is, we can help with it. If you need access to a computer to apply for a job or get your DD-214, we have that. If you want to, like you mentioned, pick from our library of books that are focused on post-traumatic growth and those types of concepts, it's absolutely free to come in and have a cup of coffee. We like to talk. That human connection is the big deal, really.
Yeah.
And so many veterans are isolated, and when they come in, we want to make sure that they know that not only they're welcome, but that this is their place. It's not ours. It's not mine. It's not Jesse's. Mack thinks it's his, but it's theirs. It's ours. And so that's really the big takeaway. If I could leave the audience with anything, it's just we're a community, and I mean that in every sense of the word.
So let's recap, some of the things that we would be looking for, folks, to help Tom and every third Saturday to help his organization really rally around the veterans in need and in crisis here in the Twin City metro area of Minneapolis, St. Paul, and the surrounding suburbs. So we know that we need some clothing for the change from summer to winter. So we're looking for specifically hoodie sweatshirts, thermal hoodie sweatshirts, big coats, and we're talking double XL or larger, so people can layer up. We're talking about putting on stocking caps so that they can keep their head warm and their ears warm, maybe a scarf or two to keep their neck and face warm. We're not looking for face masks where they're going to take them and go down the street and rob the convenience store, but we are looking for stocking caps. And then, folks, if you're interested in financially helping support this organization, I could not recommend a better program or a better organization to send your funding to, because you know what it's going to be used for. And that's exactly what it's going to be used for, is taking care of the veterans in our community and continue to offer them better ways and resources to start lifting themselves up from where they are in a valley. Tom, any last words before we say goodbye to you today?
Well, just thank you for having me on. This is awesome. And like you said, you are a friend, you are a Marine brother, and it's great to be on. I'm excited that you're doing the podcast. And I did forget to mention, we do take donations of clothing and shoes. That's on Tuesdays and Thursdays at our place in Minneapolis, about 3 blocks from the VA Medical Center. And other than that, I just want people to know, if you know a veteran or you are a veteran who needs to raise your hand, that's bravery. That's courage. It's toughing it out and being macho. That's not as brave as you think it is. What's brave is saying, "Hey, man, I need a hand." And we hope that veterans, more and more become willing to do that and break down the stigmas and all that stuff that prevents vets from doing just that. So we're here. There's other organizations that are here and ready to help. So it's up to you.
Thanks so much for being on the show tonight, Brian says. Can we mail clothing donations?
Yes, we do get them in the mail sometimes. Problem is the post office likes to charge by the pound, and sometimes clothes get heavy. But certainly, we'd be more than happy to take them through the mail.
Brian, you can find that, or anybody else who wants to do any of the donating to Tom's organization, you can find contact information and how to donate on the website at everythirdsaturday.com or .org.
.org.
Yep. So the website's .org, but the email is tom@everythirdsaturday.com.
Yeah, and the short story is we had a web developer who helped us at the outset, who absolutely insisted that it be .com and did it without our approval, and so we've been stuck with it ever since. But
you got to go with it then, don't you?
Yeah.
We want to thank Delight CBD for sponsoring this podcast and helping us get word out and resources out for veterans. Again, folks, please research this stuff, give it a try, and you're not gonna hurt yourself by trying it. It's definitely something that I personally have tried, and it has helped me out of a pretty mild or to a moderate panic attack, and it's been really beneficial for me. So please take a look at their programs that they offer and try it in, see what it does for you. Love to hear about it. If you want to send me an email at victortangoshow@gmail.com and let me know that you've tried the CBD from Delight and how you like it, that would be awesome. Again, thanks, Tom, for taking the time and spending the hour or so with us here to talk about your organization, talk about one of the resources that are out there for veterans here in our community. Again, brother, always will love you and appreciate you. And can't wait till this COVID can get a little less, little less hairy and get more to being able to hang out again. I want to come down and see the new place when it's done. I want to get down there and do some stuff with veterans with claims and getting their DD-214s and helping them get that stuff together as well. So I appreciate you. And let's stay in touch. Again, everybody, thank you for watching our show or listening to our show today. Tom's a great dude. Please, if you can afford to donate, please do to Tom's organization. Thanks for everybody seeing us today. And I'm going to say oorah from us Marines here. And we'll see you all next week, Thursday, 5 p.m. Central, 6 Eastern. And that makes it 3 o'clock on the West Coast. So please join us again. Like and share the podcast. Subscribe to it. We'd love to have you as one of our members here, and we'll talk to y'all later. Fernando, take us out, brother.